Hi folks, Tim Newman at Soft Light Studios, and it's another beautiful Tuesday. And as you may or may not be aware, Tuesday is Composition Day, where each Tuesday we bring you a video discussing various elements, perspectives, and approaches to composition, helping you to hopefully see better images when you're out shooting. In today's discussion on composition, we're going to focus on an element of design or a rule of composition that we have referred to in the past as point of view. And if we think about this from an historical perspective, we have considered point of view from the relationship of our angle looking at a subject within a frame and that subject looking back at us. And historically, when we've thought about this, we've typically thought about it in terms of people or of animals in the frame. And we have always said that if we were above that animal or above that person and looking down on them, we have diminished their emotional importance within the frame. We have made them look smaller, that we're looking down upon them. And in fact, we often refer to that in the animal world as an ID picture. Oh, that's a fish ID picture, or that's a tiger ID picture. It lacks that personal interaction, but you can tell clearly what the subject is in the frame. When we take that point of view and we move it down below the subject, then we are elevating the emotional importance of the subject in the frame. In fact, we are looking up at them and we are giving them more weight in that frame by the upward view. In the middle ground between those two, when we are looking at the subject directly, like I am looking at you, we have developed a one-to-one relationship. We are able to now capture and discern personality in that frame. Imagine a turtle shot and you're looking down on the turtle. Yes, it's a shell. There's four legs. There's the turtle head peeking out. But imagine you're looking directly at the face of the turtle and that little beak is pointed right at you with those eyes staring right at you. You're now picking up some turtle attitude. Hell, Dana Carvey would be proud. Today, we're not looking at that traditional point of view perspective. We are looking at point of view in terms of how we move around when we're out in the field shooting landscapes. As a little bit of background for the four images that I am about to share with you, I want to let you know that I just came back from Santorini Island in Greece, ostensibly scouting for a workshop that we're getting ready to put on in 2020 and offer to you. If you have never been to Santorini, you owe it to yourself to go there. There are literally photographic opportunities around every corner, and there are literally warm, proud people around every corner as well that are happy to share their island, their culture, their history, and more importantly, their food with you. It is not a bad place to spend 5 days, I assure you. So, early one morning, I was out walking through the town of Pyrgos. It's a small village that kind of sits in the middle of Santorini when you think about it from north to south and east to west. And it's not the typical bustling tourist town that you would find in Santorini. It's a little more traditional and a little more laid back. Fantastic place for just an early morning walkabout, discovering little nooks and crannies and early morning light as it unwraps. While I was out walking around, I discovered this little alleyway that I thought made an ideal scene, and I want you to take a look at it here in this first picture. I think you can see pretty quickly, looking at this first image, why I found this scene very compelling. There were some very nice plays of light in the image, the walkway meandering through the tunnel to the morning light in the background, and the leading lines of the arched roof all working their way to the center really made for a compelling scene. So I grabbed this immediately when I saw it. Now, I've been doing photography for a long time, longer than I would like to admit, really. But I think the next move came to me fairly automatically. And as automatic as it was for me, I do want to point it out to you and make sure that it's something that you keep in the back of your mind. I didn't feel like the composition was as solid as I wanted it to be. And I sometimes feel that we really need to anchor some of our scenes from the bottom. So I immediately dropped to my knee and snagged this second shot that we see here. In this second shot, where I have changed my point of view or perspective on this, I think you can really quickly see how the leading lines change in the image, and that walkway pulls you in a little more from the bottom. And I like that. And I really like the texture that we got out of the right side of the image in this move. But then again, I'm not sold on what's happened to the roofline here. So now it's time to rethink how we're going to approach this image. As we are thinking about how we're going to approach this image differently, some of the thoughts that may quickly go through your mind are, can we move in a little bit? Can we move back a little bit? Will that change the way that things are being represented in the frame, the way that lines are leading through the frame? And the answer is, it might, but I want to point you to a little bit different answer that tends to get overlooked often enough, and I think it's worth exploring here. So let's take a look at image number 3. Here in image number 3, the change of composition is as simple as switching from that landscape-oriented view to a portrait-oriented point of view. I'm not even changing my position on the ground. I'm simply rotating the camera in my hand and paying attention now to where the 4 leading lines are coming from in the image. And as you can see, they're all nicely anchored in the 4 corners of the image. So from every direction of the frame, we are pulling the viewer's eye right into the center of this image. And this is one, like I said, that gets often overlooked. And I want you to think about that for a second. And what I want you to think about for that second is, what is the cost of changing the orientation here and grabbing another frame? And the answer in the digital world is, there's no cost whatsoever. You've already paid for the camera, you've already paid for the memory card, and heck, you've paid for the trip to Santorini. So explore those alternate orientations whenever you can. Heck, even if you're shooting film, you're probably shooting digital sample frames ahead of time and then picking the best exposure setting and the best composition and orientation for that film frame that you're going to capture separately. Something we definitely want to keep in mind. Now, let's wrap up here with taking a look at a 4th version of the image. Here in the 4th version of the image, we don't see any changes to our composition, our perspective, or our point of view. This is simply touches that I felt needed to happen to the final frame as a result of post-production edits. You can see I've changed the way the light falls in the frame. I've put a little bit more highlight spots in the walkway leading through the tunnel, and just basically made the image a little more inviting and drawing the viewer in terms of where I am drawing their eye to various elements of light within the frame. So there you have it. One scene, 3 different takes on that scene, and every one of those takes as a result of simple shifts in point of view or perspective. And quite frankly, none of them were that challenging to transition to. So I want you to think about that. You've already invested your time, your money, and your effort to be at that location, and you've found something compelling enough to stop you in your tracks. Take the time to work the different angles, the different perspectives, the different points of view that are there. I've often said when I do photography workshops, if I gave 10 photographers each a camera and I sent them out to the same location to shoot for a while, I would come back with 9 of those photographers seeing everything from eye level. Be photographer number 10. Get down on the ground, get up on the table, lean sideways, do whatever it takes to get that alternate perspective, that one that engages you in the frame better. I think you'll find that it'll pay off over and over again. Thanks for tuning in. Remember to subscribe. More videos coming your way soon. And remember, as we always say, learning equals skills, practice equals mastery. We'll see you out there.